Hello and welcome back to a Methods of the Madness Breaking Bad edition. I'm your host Patrick, and joining me as always is Mitchie.
Hello.
And today we are covering Breaking Bad Season 2 Episode 12 titled Phoenix. This episode is, in my opinion, possibly one of the most important for Walter's development. He makes a choice in this episode that, as I said, is pretty paramount within the series. So without further ado, let's go into it. Mitchie, can you take us through that, please?
Sure. Walt barely delivers an inventory of drugs to Gus in time, but misses his daughter's birth. He arrives at the hospital where he finds that Ted drove Skylar there. At Jesse's apartment, Jane wakes up when she's phoned by her father, Donald, because she's late for a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. At lunch afterwards, she does not mention that she has started using heroin again and acts as though she does not know Jesse when her father asks about him. Jesse, seeing the aftermath of Walt's search, initially believes he was robbed, but then listens to the phone messages Walt left. Walt, unable to tell anyone else in his family about the money, privately shows his daughter the stacks of cash hidden in the garage walls. Later, Jesse shows up at Walt's classroom to ask for his share of the money, which Walt refuses because he believes it will further Jesse's addiction. He promises to pay Jesse when he knows that Jesse and Jane are clean.
Another great use of efficiency in storytelling is when Jesse's like calling Walt because he's panicking that, someone took his meth, and he's like, dude, it's uncanny. It's like they knew exactly where to look.
Yeah.
And then he's,
my God.
he's freaking out. And then he looks at his answering machine and he sees the number 4 on it as if, what
was that about? I was literally gonna ask about that.
Well, because he figures out that Walt called him asking. Yeah.
That's why he says later on, I figured it out. Right.
Yeah. And so, we don't need a scene of Walt explaining to Jesse. So, I don't know. Just. Yeah.
Also, you don't see the deal go down at the start.
Yeah.
He rolls that fucking
weird.
tire, his spare tire, he just rolls it away like it doesn't matter anymore. Like, what was that about? Like, I'll just fucking dramatically throw it down the road and lose my spare tire. But anyway. But yeah, you never see him hand him the drugs and get the money, which is interesting. Like, who would have given it to him?
Probably Victor, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
That dude seems to be doing everything for Gus Fring.
Yeah, true. Box cutter man.
Yes. What room is that he hides the money in when he shows his daughter? Because I swear I've never seen that. They have a garage?
Yeah, they got a fucking garage.
Oh, right.
But for some reason, the car's always parked outside. It's like, it's the garage door was broken at the start of the series, and he fixed it at one point. I'm pretty sure that's a garage because that's where the washing machine is and shit.
Right.
And I don't know what's with the shit fucking wall where you can just open it, but anyway.
Yeah, not the best hiding spot, I'd say, but
Yeah, but I like how he shows his daughter. The only person in the world that could potentially know because she's just too young to actually intelligibly process it. But it's kind of funny that that's the only person. And truly though, it's kind of the person he wants to show that he is doing it for his family. So to show her is kind of got some meaning in a way, even though she'll never remember it.
And then he's like, don't you fucking rat me out, you little piece of shit.
Holds a gun up to
her. So why do you think Walt doesn't give Jesse the money? Is it out of concern?
Yeah, it's a good question. You kind of, I feel like he actually does care and that he doesn't want it because he's not going to keep it. He knows he can't. He's got some sense of decency there not to keep them, to keep his portion of the money, but to understand that the other half is for Jesse. So I don't know. Yeah,
I'm with you. I can't think of any other motive other than that he does care for Jesse and he doesn't want him to spend it all on drugs and shit,
Yeah, unless he kind of it just doesn't want him to have it yet. Because he is kind of pissed off that maybe he's just angry because he just went in there and he was off his head on heroin and literally had no idea what was going on. And the fact that he calls him and is like, it's uncanny of where where they found it and shit like that. And you can tell that Walt was absolutely disgusted by that. The look on his face is just foul. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't even dignify him with a response. He just
no.
Let him be anxious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it is a bit out of spite, but I mean, in these coming episodes and bleeding into season 3 as well, there's a little arc where, for some reason, Walt just suddenly becomes a parent to Jesse.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
I think it's the writers being like, we have to set up this choice by Walt, as we see at the end with Jane, where he has to, we have to give him a reason to possibly not save her because of his love for Jesse,
Yeah.
to motivate him.
Later, Jesse and Jane inject heroin in his apartment. As he passes out, Jesse complains about Walt holding out on him, telling Jane that he is owed $480,000. Donald calls Jane again when she is late to another rehab meeting. Unbeknownst to Jane, he is waiting directly outside. Seeing her emerging from Jesse's door, he barges in and finds evidence of them both using heroin. He is furious that she has relapsed and calls the police, but Jane promises she will enter rehab the next day. He relents and gives her another chance. Meanwhile, Walt Jr. has put up a website so that people can donate to Walt's cancer surgery. Walt does not want to accept charity, especially because he earned the money to pay for his treatment, but cannot reveal its source to his family. Saul tells him that he will contact a hacker to make the money look like it is coming from computers all over the world and avert suspicions by putting in small amounts.
So there's like a little scene where Marie and Walt are like taking care of Holly while she's in the car.
Yeah, that's some good foreshadowing, eh?
How's that?
Wait. Are you talking about when they prop Holly up?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's exactly how Jane dies.
Oh my god!
Because you stop the baby vomiting and then killing themselves, and then that's how Jane dies. Because she was propped herself. She has her propped herself. Anyway, we'll get to that point. But she is propped up with a pillow.
That's a great connection. That's so obvious too. I didn't make it. Yeah, good catch, man. But yeah, I just this is never elaborated on in the series, I think. But I think Marie seems to really. Seems like Marie wants to be a mother, and it's like, why do Marie and Hank not have children?
Yeah, it is kind of not given a reason, is it, at any point?
Yeah.
I mean, there might be an actual reason.
Well, yeah, I think maybe, like one of them's not impotent, sterile?
Infertile, yeah.
Infertile, that's, yeah. Yeah, I think maybe it's implied. I don't know, just the characterization of Marie, and, especially later on when they're really concerned about the kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about that.
Speculation. Yeah.
Yeah. I also like how Hank doesn't like breastfeeding. It's like an interesting addition to his character. Like, because people like that kind of it's a very frowned upon thing, obviously, to have an attitude like that, and that's exactly what he has.
So Walter Jr. creates like a SaveWalterWhite.com, which, by the way, is a real website.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is so funny. It's like really tacky, like super early 2000s kind of design,
Yeah.
And then this is really great when Walter and Skylar have this conversation. He's like, we can't accept charity. Oh, well, Skylar, it's charity. And then Skylar goes, why do you say that like it's a dirty word?
That's important.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Great line.
And then when he goes to talk to Saul about it, I don't understand what his mentality is. Like, what does he fucking want to do then? Like, there is literally no way, aside from breaking it out to them, that you're a drug lord and you earned it all yourself. Or you're just going to have to launder it in a way that looks like you'd never earned it. Like...
He's super petulant in this scene. He's like
it doesn't make any sense, though. Like, you can't have that. You can't have it both ways, mate. Like, yeah. And
then I love Saul's line where he's like, all right, there's some deep-seated issues there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, it's one way he's talking about the uncle. It's like ever so long that he was bouncing. I was bouncing on his knee, but then that old pedophile died off, and he left me $1 million. Like, oh, fucking Saul, so good.
Every scene with him is just gold.
Yeah, it is literally gold.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about the Jane scene. Jane and his dad.
Yeah. Oh, her dad.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, when he goes in there and sees the heroin, and he's gonna like fucking beat up Jesse, and he gets the baseball bat, and then she just like puts on her puppy dog eyes and crocodile tears, and then he falls for it again, and he shouldn't have, because he sees the consequences of his decision at the end of this next episode. But yeah, like it's kind of sad, really. This guy is trying. If you seriously sympathize for the dad, like. He is trying to make his daughter better, and he keeps trying, and it's not working, And, yeah, it's kind of tragic. Jane calls Walt to blackmail him into giving Jesse his share. Walt delivers the money to Jesse and Jane, who are ecstatic and talk of getting clean, but still feel a strong pull to use their remaining heroin. Walt goes to a bar to unwind, where he unknowingly sits next to Donald. The two start talking about the Phoenix probe's discovery of water on Mars and about Donald's daughter and Walt's nephew, voicing their frustrations over trying to help people who would not do what is good for them. Donald opines that one can never give up on one's family. Motivated by Donald's words, Walt Why is his name got to be Donald? I just think of fucking Trump. Like,
I think a Donald Duck.
I think of Trump. Motivated by Donald's words, Walt goes back to Jesse's house to talk to him, but finds Jesse and Jane passed out from heroin use. While Walt is trying to wake Jesse, he accidentally knocks Jane onto her back. She starts to choke on her own vomit. Walt rushes to help, but then lets her die in order to protect Jesse from their eventual overdose, and for self-preservation since she threatened to expose him. Walt begins to cry before looking on resolutely.
So this is the first time I caught this, that, yeah, it says there in the summary that Walt knocked her on her back. And, you know, like this whole time I thought it was something that was, you know, completely in inaction. But no, Walt, like there was some sort of physical connection.
There was.
Yeah, physical thing connecting Walt to Jane's death.
Yeah, because it also gives him cause, actually. It's not like he's a bystander, you know, and it becomes that, because then it becomes a kind of a moral question of like, you know, like would you pull the lever to run the train over like one person as opposed to them hitting a family kind of thing, like, because is it you standing as a bystander, does that make it an immoral thing if you don't decide to step in, etc.? But then he did knock her over when he tried to shake him, and she, because she knows what she's doing, right? She propped herself up because she's a heroin expert. And they make a point of that earlier in the episode too, when she does it for Jesse, and then she's like, "No, go on your back, baby." Remember that? Yeah. And the baby Holly. She's propped up on her back. Anyway,
yes.
It's kind of fucked. But before that, we got the conversation in the bar.
Yeah. So what do you think is the significance of their conversation about water on Mars?
Oh, okay. I don't know. I never really thought about that. Because it's relevant. It was actually happening at the time.
Right, but it just seems like a weird little conversation to have, right? Like, surely there must be some connection.
Yeah, I don't know. Water, fucking,
something about maybe like
Mars,
you know,
discovery.
Well, yeah, it's an inane scientific discovery.
Yeah,
as if, but you know, it's the Donald is like, why is this significant? And Walt explains to him, it's like, well, we can convert the hydrogen into fuel.
Yeah,
and then so you know, maybe it's like, I don't know, paralleling Walt somehow about how he sees his own scientific career as a chemist as like inane and insignificant. I don't know, he just fails to see his potential of what he could have been. I don't know.
I was thinking more thinking like this great discovery for the sake of humanity is so big and extreme, yet we are held down by these such earthly things like Walt and his problems with fucking Jesse and Jane, you know, like they both come to that bar because they've got issues with their family, so to speak, even though Jesse's strictly speaking not Walt's family. And you know, it's like kind of the idea, like you can watch these things in a bar and these significant things that are happening for humanity, but we're all just human, bound by such human things at the end of the day.
Yeah, like you know, at the end of the day, it kind of pales in comparison to your own things going on in your life, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But man, them meeting though.
Yeah, again, like,
hell.
You know, what a coincidence, right? Like.
Yeah, but it's seriously like it just feels so meaningful when you see it. You're just like, wow, like how is this like that? That's when you think like coincidence is like maybe it's not coincidence, and then you think like, is this kind of shit happening to us all the time in our lives? You know, how is this, you know, you talked about in introduction podcast, this idea of the web, you know, this web of kind of storytelling and all these little kind of parts of the giant web, whatever you call it, the stringy bits, they come together, you know, all the individual stories, and that's it. Like it's that really represents that so well. It's just such a crazy scene, like, because that could be happening to all of us, you know, like you talk to some random guy at a bar and he might be connected to you in some very strange but unknown way.
Yeah, man, just like, you know, and I feel like the setting of a bar, of them sharing a beer, it's like really, I don't know, understated, really kind of melancholic. It's really beautiful. Like
it is
just
truly.
As an audience, how you know that connects. I don't know, I love when shows do shit like this. Can't think of any examples, but like I feel like this is something we actually see a lot. Yeah, man, it's done really well. And then Walt calls Jesse his nephew when he's, you know, and you know, I think Walt, he sees him as family. You know, this just pretty much tells us that he, you know, at this point he does care about Jesse a lot.
Yeah. Why did Walt go back to see him to begin with?
To see Jesse.
Yeah.
Because Jane and Jesse were going to leave. Remember, Jesse was like, this is the last time you'll see me.
Yeah, so what did he want to do, though? Just say, like, sorry or something, or hello, like, bye, like...
Yeah, possibly. I'd say
just
maybe
reconciliation in some way before he leaves.
Maybe he wanted to talk him out of it because he thought that they were just going to leave and have a life of, addiction and drugs, and it was going to be like a, not the ideal life they imagined.
Yeah.
Which is actually something I find really interesting. Have you heard about? I think I've told you about the iceberg hero theory of in regards to the Titanic.
No.
So, I mean, this interpretation is always said with some levity, but the hero of the Titanic is the iceberg because Rose and Jack's relationship would never have worked out. There's always hints in the film that implies that they actually, the only reason they got together is because they were in this transient journey in this boat, this kind of magical place and time.
Yeah.
Because the iceberg sank the ship, it immortalized that romance, and Rose could forever hold on to it as this perfect moment in her time.
I mean, it's not wrong.
Yeah, right. And so I find it interesting to apply it to Jesse and Jane as well. Like, they talk about, no, we're going to get sober and then we'll move away and have this idyllic life. But then, they take heroin for supposedly the last time. And it suggests heavily, I think, that if they had ran away together, it wouldn't have worked out. They would have had a lot of problems. They would have possibly delved deeper into drugs and all that. So,
well, you can tell by Jane anyway. Like, I never really... I always felt like with their relationship, Jesse was a much stronger lover than she was. And now that's evidenced by the last episode when she's like, oh, we're not in a relationship kind of thing. But then as soon as she hears about the money, she's just like, oh, yeah, let's fucking go everywhere. We can live together, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, whatever. You just want the money and then you're going to leave Jesse. I know you kind of a thing. And I was just like, yeah, nah. Like, it's not going to work.
It does seem that way. She does get a lot more perky when she hears about the $500,000 that Jesse has. Yeah.
Plus, she's brutal, eh? She's just straight into fucking getting that money out of Walt, like blackmailing him off the bat. Like, it's almost like, and it almost comes down to like, it's kind of a really more like dark topic. But what if you were Walt? Sure, he kind of did cause it, and if he didn't knock her over, let's say, and she just started choking in front of you. But you could resolve so many issues by letting her die, Like, it literally ultimately makes everything better for almost every character. Like, Jesse probably will stop doing drugs if she dies, which he does, and won't kill himself on heroin. She dies, and, I'm not... for her, like, what was she going to do after that? Like, maybe in some ways, it's kind of like her death outweighs kind of the negativity of... her death is actually kind of good in the sense that it really does good things for Walt and Jesse. Although it's very malicious though, because Walt's motivations are kind of evil and he just wants her to die because she's blackmailing him. But, it's kind of like, what would you do in that situation, if you were Walt? And you kind of really see the train of thought working there and see, like, it makes complete sense why he would do that. And then it comes down to a question of, do you have the ability to just be bad enough that you could let someone die in front of you because it will benefit you? Or do you want to let them live, but then it'll truly fuck up your life?
So, yeah, man, to what you were saying earlier about how you can see Walt's train of thought.
Yeah. Like,
man, this is great. His performance is something if this was like a novel, right, this would be the moment when... the description goes something like, Walt reached out his hand, and then he stopped because he was deliberating, whether to save Jane because of a mix of emotions, his love for Jesse, and I don't know, just, it would be really...
It would physically describe to you what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, it would be really descriptive, whereas, like, you watch, what's the actor's name again?
Bryan Cranston?
Yeah, Brian, yeah. You watch Bryan Cranston's performance, how, like, he reaches out his hand, he pulls it back, and then his eyes kind of dart back and forth, and he's like kind of shaking too, and he like, it's so good.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if you know this, but like, when he was filming the scene, I think he actually to get into the headspace, he imagined that Jane was his own daughter dying.
Yeah.
And after the take, he was actually like kind of traumatized by it, that he had to take a moment to like collect himself. Man, just a great moment captured on film.
Exactly. Yeah. That's, well, I mean, I guess to really kind of convey that kind of emotion in your acting, you really do have to imagine something like that, which is kind of morbid.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I said this in the Prelude episode, I think, but I think this is arguably Walter's biggest development. Because all these other murders, they were kind of necessary. They were villains in a sense. Jane, she was someone close to someone he was close to.
Yeah.
And this is like, and then it really complicates it by just like, how indirect this murder was. There's just like so many layers to like the moral complexity of this situation. It's like, no other TV show has done that, I feel.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, man. Great episode. I think that's all I have to say. Do you have anything else?
No.
All right, sweet. Thanks for listening, and join us next episode for the season finale.
Cool. See ya.
Uncle Murray. Oh, yeah. Yeah, many's the happy memory of Uncle Murray bouncing me on his knee. We lost track of the old pervert years ago, but what do you know? He kicked it and left me millions.
No. It cannot be blind luck or some imaginary relative who saves us. No, I earned that money. Me!
If you like this series, Mitch is going to tell you where you can find more of these.
Yep, so you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. And we've also got a website, amttm.com, where you can find our fabulous episodes on Breaking Bad.
If you have any questions, queries, insights, or criticism, you can send them to mail@amttm.com.
And as always, thank you for listening.